Rams Nation, welcome back to the Rams Up Roundtable here on the LA Rams Up Podcast Network. This is Roundtable number 60, and here we are entering week 12 of the 2024 campaign. I mean, holy crap, the season has flown by. Gentlemen, Mark, Paul, how are we doing today?
Well, considering how long ago was it? We were 1-4, and we were talking about trading Cooper Cup and moving on from Matthew Stafford, and now we're
Yeah.
talking about a couple of big wins, and it's kind of like a lot like last year, right? Just going on a little bit of a run here, maybe, and hey, playoffs, baby.
Oh, please. What about you, Paul? How you doing, dude?
Doing great, fantastic. Channeling the LA Dodgers World Championship blue and the
Nice.
Beast Coast blue shirts, baby. It's time to sort of add the Rams to that equation.
There you go. You bleed blue. I respect it, you know? But, gentlemen, before we get started, everyone tuning in, whether you're listening on podcast, we thank you very much. YouTube, if you're tuning in, like, subscribe, share this video, share this podcast with any Rams fan out there, any football fan out there. We very much appreciate it. But with that said, gentlemen, what are your final thoughts here on our Patriots win 28-22? Man, oh man, we needed that. Just like we talked about in the post-game reaction. Thank the football gods we did not blow that one, right? But I'll start with you, Mark. What are your final thoughts on this victory out there in Foxborough that hadn't happened in quite some time?
Well, I just have to say, except for one unit and maybe unfortunately have to zero in on one player, aside from that, a really complete win. I mean, I was trying to think about who my player of the game is, and I went down about 8 or 9 candidates. I finally settled on one. Just a bunch of guys played really well, and I think, Drake May really made this game competitive. He played really well. And if I'm a Patriots fan, I'm pretty happy about the state of that franchise because of him. He tested this Rams defense, but we held on and got a win, just a complete win. Again, special teams had a couple of shortcomings, shall we say, but you have to be happy with the overall performance of the team.
Yeah, I agree with all that for sure. What about you, Paul? What are your final thoughts on this big win or important win, I should say?
Hey, listen, they got back to 500. Now they can go back to the drawing board 0-0. You got 7 games to, like I said last week, to define the season. You got the double C note in that game with King Cup and Air Puka. So there's a lot of positives to build on. It's, 7-0 for the rest of the year. That's what they want to go. That's the way they have to look at it. 7-0 and get into the big dance.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, they have to win. I've been on record. They got to get the 10 wins or they have no shot just based on the NFC standings. But I guess my thoughts, everyone out there, is I'm happy to see finally, after weeks of me being very unsatisfied with the run game, I finally started to see some variation with that. And I think that played a big key into why we were able to move the ball with consistency. Finally, Sean McVay is starting to use counter as a part of the playbook. Thank God. Finally, starting to do some more diverse wham plays. So, counter, real quick, everybody, is when you have linemen from one side pulling, meaning they're going to go wrap around behind their fellow linemen to lead block and open up lanes to the opposite side. So, counter, usually you do it with the tackle. GT counter can either stand for guard and tackle from one side going to the other, or how we've been doing it, which I really enjoyed watching on film against the Patriots, guard tight end counters. So there'd be a GT counter with the tight end that we've been doing. And we had some really nice runs on that. And I was really happy to see that. Also, seeing a lot more variations of the wham run game, which is where you have a tight end by himself going to trap block, meaning you're leaving somebody unblocked on purpose, and the fullback's going to go kick him out and get him out of the way. So I saw some good variations of that too, outside of the other duo stuff, inside zone, outside zone. And I think that's a big step forward because for weeks and weeks and weeks, it was only just 4 or 5 run plays, all the basic ones that we do, and there was no variation. I still want to see some jet sweeps. I still want to see some other runs and stuff, but this was a great step in that direction to be more diverse in the run game, which I think really helped our offense get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 yards on those run plays that I mentioned. And then, other than that, great to see again the O line just play well in general. 0 sacks on Stafford, like we talked about in the post game. That was a big deal. And defense doing enough to not screw it up and win the game. But after watching the film, doing that orchestrated Rams, shout out to everybody who likes to enjoy those videos that we put out here on the Rams Up channel. It was good to see better game plans, better run schematics, and run plays in this offense that we know could be a top 5 unit. And that's why we get irritated on this channel. And I get irritated because I know they have potential to be fantastic. But before we get to some other stuff here, gentlemen, we got to talk about real quick Defensive Player of the Week. Cameron Kitchens again. Man, oh man. I mean, for somebody who had really, really bad film those first games he was out there, and we all said it, he is not ready to go. And he got benched because he was not ready by other guys. Again, shout out to Cameron Kitchens for making plays, having 10 tackles, if I'm not mistaken, having a forced fumble, having the interception. I mean, dude was fantastic. And outside of him getting this award again, Cameron Kitchens is the first rookie DB to win multiple Defensive Player of the Week awards during his first season. Holy crap. He is also the third Miami Hurricane to win multiple Defensive Player of the Week awards in a single season, joining the Hall of Famer Ed Reed, who is his idol, and then Antrell Roll, sorry if I said his name wrong, from 2007, who was a fantastic and pretty dang good NFL player as well. I mean, gentlemen, what are your thoughts on Mr. Kitchens,
Yeah,
the
I think
rookie?
that first award he won against the Seahawks, I think it was really just based on the one big play, right? And that's not the case with this award. He had a great game from start to finish. And what's really nice about this is, I don't know if you remember, was several weeks ago we did our we graded the Rams draft picks, and that was the one pick that we were really sour on, right? We were all just like, yeah, Rams missed on that one. And what a turnaround. He looks like he could be a solid player for us. And pairing him up with Jalen McCullough as well, man, we're looking really good on the back end there.
Yeah, we are. What about you, Paul? What are your thoughts on Kitchen's historic award-winning season so far? Isn't it crazy? Wow. But let's get that unmute button off. Let's hear
His
your thoughts.
college tape was, something was something special. And if you want to play rookies, you got to be willing to tough out those rookie mistakes and allow him to learn. And now he's really showing his skill set. He's getting more comfortable back there. And that INT was, the one area where he was struggling was playing that center field. And to see that was huge. As we're waiting for Johnny Johnson to return to the mix, hopefully at sometime soon. But that's going to be a great duo back there if the two of them can get on the field at the same time. So, shout out to Cam. Way to persevere. And, like I said, he's from the U. He's never going to hang his head. And when he gets his hand on the ball, he's going to be looking to take it to the house. Just a little point out. He calls Ed Reed Unc. He hangs out with him. So, who's in his ear every week.
Yeah, and I think he was. I read that he had every intention of returning that, and Christian Roseboom got in his ear there. Take a seat, son. Let's put this one. Let's put this in the win column.
That was the right decision by unsung Captain Roseboom right there. Yeah, get your ass down. Let's not risk it, please. So I'm glad he listened to his elder statesman on the defense there. So that was fantastic. Just wanted to share that news real quick. But as we do here on these roundtable episodes, everyone, we have to give out a game ball each to one player, or we've cheated kind of before, one group or a coach who really stood out and helped us get to victory. So, Mark, who is getting your game ball for this Patriots victory on Sunday?
Well, this was really tough. There's a bunch of guys I considered, and I won't get into it. I don't want to steal anyone else's thunder, and I know who you guys picked, but I went with the boring pick, Cooper Cup. I mean, the guy is just so steady. He's a superstar, and he proved it once again. And for him, it's just, I take great pleasure in watching a guy show his trade and do it in such a low-key, business-like manner. I mean, it's great when we see these guys that get super excited and do dances in the end zone. I have no problem with that either. But I love a guy like Cup that's just old school and makes big play after big play. Man, pairing him up with Puka, that's what makes this team so dangerous moving forward, and why Paul says 7-0. It's possible. Probably not going to happen, but with guys like Cooper Cup on your side, it's possible.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, Super Cooper, like Coach Yarbs, our wide receiver coach, likes to say, and yeah, we definitely saw that on Sunday. Good pick, man, good pick. And Paul, who's your one game ball you got to give to for this Patriots victory on Sunday?
Yeah, but I went with Puka Yakua. So for multiple reasons, but one thing before I do that too is to his partner King Cup. King Cup celebrates when the confetti is falling. That's what makes him special. That's what a lot of players should learn. That's when you celebrate when the job is done. I went with Puka Yakua because I have to say that there's something special about him. You could just see it when he makes a play. The entire sideline, the entire stadium, home or away, is just it's electric, and you could just see it. It supercharges the whole team. And that one play that everybody's talking about, that just shows you the kind of player, that max effort, bum knee, whatever it is, doesn't matter. He's laying out, he's putting himself on the sideline, throwing up because of the impact. But he's about making plays. He will do whatever it takes to help his team and get that W. And that's what makes him special. Just like King Cup. People watch them and they're inspired to play at a higher level. So I gave, it was a toss up between King Cup, and King Cup's got enough accolades. I said, let's go with the kid. Let's give it to Kid Puka, right? And
Yeah,
like I said, the effort was just exceptional this weekend.
yeah, and he set the tone. I kind of overlooked that play earlier where he broke the tackle on the sideline,
Yeah,
and yeah,
and
that was yeah. It wasn't
Yeah,
that's
that
just
was
this.
one thing I think that really stood out to me was that now you have King Cup, now you have Puka. Notice they did not run out of bounds, right? Twice there were two plays there, like Mark is referencing. Perfect play that he had the opportunity to go out of bounds. He turned it upfield, and that's going to make a big difference on this team. It's showing these younger players this is how you win.
indeed. And to your guys' point about those great game ball handouts you gave out. And we got to show this stat. So 7 catches, 123 yards, and 1 touchdown for Puka Yakua. Paul likes to call him on your yards after catch. And then 6 for 106 and 2 touchdowns for Mark's pick, King Cup, Super Cooper. Uh, when these guys are going off, good things are going to happen. And it's about finding the balance, right? Run the ball, and then you can throw to these guys off the play action, which we saw a ton. A lot of their touchdowns were off that, and we did see, some of the drop back game. But the balance, when this offense has balance, when you're able to run it efficiently, these guys are going to get more single coverage like they did on their touchdowns, and they're going to get more opportunities to beat players one-on-one instead of getting shadowed by double coverage or schemed up where they're not going to be able to do damage against opposing defenses. And I think that's very key. And we saw that in this game with how they performed with the balance of this Rams offense. So we know they can do week in and week out. They just got to be able to get it done. But my game ball, gentlemen, is to someone we talked about in length on the post game, but just rewatching the film and seeing how he played, I was like, holy crap. We got a great young rookie. Braden Fisk. Golly, man, this guy's freaking good, dude. And I'll read this again for anyone who didn't see our post-game reaction because it's just insane. DN Braden Fisk became the third Rams rookie to record multiple 2.0 sack games during their rookie season, joining Sean Gilbert, week 12 and 14 of the 92 season. Shout out to any Rams fans who remember that guy. I was not alive then. And Kobe Turner, week 12 and 17 of last year, 2023. Him and Gilbert both accomplished that feat in a 3-game span. Fan-freaking-tastic. And then on top of that, fist-tied Byron Young, his teammate, with 5. Robert Quinn with 5 sacks for the most by a Rams player through their first 10 career games. Man, oh man. And I'll say this again, and I'll keep saying this for everyone who hated the trade up and was like, what are we doing? For any opposing fans or any other front office, social media people who are like, this is the dumbest trade of this draft. What are the Rams doing? Well, him and Jared Verse, I mean, they're defensive rookie of the year candidates top 3. And I'm not sure that they're not both top 2 in that category right now. And his film was fantastic, tough, physical, angry, fast, quick. I mean, he was absolutely filthy rewatching the game from the all 22 angle. And I'm happy that we made that trade and it's paying off pretty fantastically, I should say, if that's even a word right now. I'm sorry, I'm getting excited thinking about it. And I'm happy he's on our team. But outside of him, gentlemen, I think we all agreed to hand out a game ball to someone specific. And I'll let you guys take it away. I've made my point known about this situation for the last couple of weeks. Bo freaking Limmer, another rookie who has been balling out. Paul, let's hear your thoughts, dude.
Yeah, when we were talking about it, I think we all agreed there had to be one unanimous game ball. That was to Bo Lemmer. The difference between the Miami game and this game was night and day. And it wasn't just a matter of his play, but it was how the line reacted to his return. And that is something we talked about. That it's sometimes it gets overlooked, but there's a certain aspect of team chemistry that's really, really important. And I think the O line really enjoys playing with him. Even though he's a rookie, there's a steadying influence by having someone like Bo Limmer in the lineup, and I think it was plain to see, in my opinion. Listen, whatever they're going to do with the Joey Jackson is only going to be positive. It's gravy. Can't shy away from the fact that you have a great draft pick and the kid's already stepping up. So ride that horse. There's nothing wrong with it. Ride that horse. Forget the plans that you made in the preseason. It does not matter. What matters now is what the team is responding to. And this is what the team is responding to. The Hammerstein Monster is going to be back soon, and you're going to have your 5-man unit intact with, Big Dog Avila's back. You're going to have a 5-man unit intact for the first time, hopefully within the next 2 weeks. Ram Nation, let's say that again. That is going to be the first time they have their full 5-man unit intact in a really long time. I think that's going to be huge. So there's a lot of positives there. You got to give it to this kid. Bo knows football, man.
Yes, he does. Mark, what are your thoughts on Bo Limmer being
Well,
reinserted into the starting lineup and kicking ass?
Well, I know the Bears' offensive line has serious issues, but they gave up 9 sacks to this Patriots defense the previous week, and the Rams struggled protecting Stafford against the Dolphins with Jonah Jackson in there. Previously, the offensive line, we had 2 games without a sack, I think it was. They had no choice but to put Bo Limmer back in there. What is it telling the rest of the team and the offensive line, the rest of the guys on the offensive line, if they run Jonah Jackson back out there? You got to play the guy that's getting it done. They had no choice. I'm glad they did. And this offensive line, I haven't seen the all 22 tape, but I know what the statistics are telling us. My eyes didn't deceive me during the game. This offensive line played really well with Limmer in there.
Yeah, they did. And I'll shout out Warren McClendon again. Him and the young gun, Bo Limmer, just had a fantastic game as they were inserted over the veterans who have played a lot of football. The young guys were ready, and they kept Stafford 0 sacks yet again. Fan-freaking-tastic. And then, no more Jonah Jackson. I don't want to hear about him anymore. Bo Limmer's got to be the guy unless something detrimental happens to his football health. So
Yeah, can
I'm
I
glad
just
they did.
chime in real quick? It's really really cool that when you start a sentence, how about the play of rookie? Fill in the blank with about 7 different guys that are getting
Yeah.
it done on this team right now, and that's really exciting for this Rams team.
Yeah. F them picks to How about more picks? That's fine with me. And any undrafted guy too. We're doing a good salesman pitch to all the undrafted guys as they're free to choose where they want to go, and it's paid tons and tons of dividends. But with that said, everybody, whew, glad we got that victory. We can all move on like the organization, coaches, players do. But before we get to this next matchup on Sunday night against the Eagles, we definitely got to go through Paul's building blocks. Paul, take it away, dude.
There you go, Ram Nation. So not only now are we going to talk about what we've established, but what are the targets moving forward? So, like we said, it's a fresh start to the season. That's the way the Rams really have to approach it. You have a chance, like we said, 7 games to define your season. And listen, we're wearing all the gear, right? We got a championship. The Dodgers did it off script. The Rams have to be able to wash away the demons of the past 10 games and go in with the confidence that, listen, I think I watched the McVay episode with JV Long and DeMarco said it best. It's not just about, about the team that you're playing, but they got to play us also. And that's the attitude that the Rams have to bring in. Because if you look at this unit, boys, let's think about this, Rams Up Nation. Take a look at each unit. The return of Cup, the return of Puka, wide receiver core is healthy. You got a power duo in Blake and Kyron Williams. You got the gunslinger Stafford. Your O-line is intact. That offense right now has everything sort of falling into place. Look at the defense. Fairly healthy. We're waiting for Johnny Johnson's return, but pretty much they're fairly healthy. So there are a lot of positives here to go into the 7 games on a really, really positive note. So let's start with our building blocks. What have we established and what are our targets? Well, let's start. If you're tuning into this podcast, you know where we're going to start with the power running game. Bottom line, Kyron Williams and Blake, target is 27 plus carries with catches. The combination of Kyron and Blake and the balanced passing attack, there's your recipe for victory. And it comes down to that every game when we start to talk about the offense. If we start there and when we do our analysis, that is always what we come back to. When things go well, they're as close as we can say that they're going to get to 27. We're pushing for 27, but the reality is this is a wide receiver-centric attack. That's the bottom line. It will always be that way. There's nothing wrong with that, particularly when you have a wide receiver room like the next bullet we're going to talk about. So we have our power running game. That has been established. We have to continue to get those carries. And talking about this Eagles game, the running game is going to be super important for the Rams to keep that balance. So number 2 is the load management for Kupp and Puka. We saw Puka lay out. I know everybody out there in Ram Nation held their breath collectively. I know I did. I was like, dude, please get up. Please get up. Right? But it just shows you, man, this is what we're talking about. You got 2 dogs and that double C note, both going over 100 yards. You want to keep them fresh for the playoffs. Have been saying it since they came back. Load management, load management, load management. Lean upon the wide receiver depth. You got D-Rob, Jay Witt's back. You got Tutu, you got TJ. And just a comment on that wide receiver room. Tutu only had 1 catch, but listen, it was a first down. It was a beautiful out route, right? I think it was 14 yards if I'm not mistaken. That's it. If you got to contribute 1 catch, 2 catch, whatever it takes, whether it's blocking, do what it takes. That is a baller wide receiver room. Not only can they get it done going downfield, but they throw the body around in the run game. The one thing that we did see, we saw what happens, but if you can establish the tight end as a red zone target, give Stafford a break so he's not always looking down the barrel of the blitz. And we saw that play to Parkinson. He just went back, laid it up there, a nice, easy touchdown. And like Mark said in his analysis, Mark had talked about that play. Parkinson sold the run, and he was just clear right behind the defense. And that's exactly what we're talking about. Give Stafford some easy looks. Make teams pay for cheating on the run once you establish the run. But they have to be able, somebody from that tight end unit has to emerge, whether it's Davis Allen, whether Parkinson has a renaissance, whoever it is. One of them has to emerge to be a clutch go-to player in the red zone and on third down. So that's another building block right there. So then the third one is, so we've established that the cheetah dime package is phenomenal. That 3 outside linebacker look is just fire. But we've also seen now with the play of Omar Speights and Boom together, they have a solid base unit. They have a solid nickel unit. So now they have to remain aggressive. This was one of the first games. Omar Speights did not miss a tackle, and Jared Verse did not miss a tackle. And that was huge. Collectively, if there's an area that the Rams have to build upon, they are playing very aggressive, and that's fantastic. They're getting lots of pressure. Every week we're talking about it. Somebody coming up with sacks, and unsung hero Kobe Turner, the conductor, getting it done. But now they have to improve on their tackling as a unit, and that's going to help them limit the big plays. If you've noticed, a lot of their big plays aren't just mental breakdowns. They're breakdowns in tackling, not being able to stop that player early, right, in the play, wherever it is, whether it's on a quick comeback route, whatever it is, lock them up, hold them down to whatever it is, get them to play 3 downs so you can get off the field. That's the bottom line. The way the Rams play their defense, yes, they're aggressive to a certain point, but they play a lot of off-ball coverage, and the key to that is you have to wrap up. Make that offense have to play 3 downs and get that first down. And like Raheem Morris used to say, third down, we'll own third down and we'll get off the field and get it back to our offense. So the key there for moving forward in terms of the building block is they have to generate more turnovers. They have to generate more turnovers. And we saw the difference it made in the New England game. The next one is Stafford's already at about 65 point something percent in completion percentage. They have to keep him upright. They kept him clean this game. What a difference. The gunslinger was back, chucking it all over the field. Those half rolls, thing of beauty. Cooper Kupp in the red zone. Oh, man, unstoppable, right? Half roll Stafford and just put it out there. And then we saw Stafford with that, sort of semi-half roll, putting it out there to Puka. Made a big difference. So keep him clean. He's still taking way too many hits after the whistle. I don't know what the Rams have to do with the league office. It's like every game you can watch it 4 or 5 times that it is just blatantly late.
Real quick before we move on, it's freaking ridiculous.
It is
how much he gets in. I just wanted to share that real quick before we move on. Insane. If this is Mahomes, Brady in his prime, I mean, you barely give the guy a tap on the shoulder and it's an unsportsmanlike penalty and a roughing the passer, hit to the head, whatever all the ones for quarterback get. Stafford never gets them. It pisses me off. Anyway, I just wanted to share that real quick.
And it's puzzling too, right? Because he's a popular
Yeah.
player. It's hard to figure out why it is. But yeah, so keep him clean. Those half rolls are doing a great job of keeping him away from the blitz. And I really think a target for him should be 70. I think he could hit 70% completion percentage. I really do. With the weapons that he has, I think that's not an unrealistic target. Anywhere 68 to 70%. Not an unrealistic target. The Rams really have to focus on improving their third down efficiency. Even McVay brought it up in that segment with JB and DeMarco. So I think he's absolutely right. They have to be more efficient on third down. They have to be able to keep the ball and have those long drives and really wear out the defense. So if there's any fly in the ointment right now, is that ability on third down for whatever reason. But now that they're semi-healthy and they have King Cup back and Puka Yaku's back, I think it's going to make a huge difference. And the last one, and this is just my personal viewpoint, the Rams have given up 20-plus points in every game, right? 20 or 20-plus points in every game, apart from the Raiders game. I mean, there's really no even fluctuation. In my opinion, look, this is just my personal opinion. Chris Shula is overmatched. It's not working. The defense has a lot of talent on it. The talent is showing through, and we're seeing those numbers. But every week, you can see the offense is able to figure out this defense, right, and able to move it with fairly consistent, and pretty vanilla type offenses too, from what I'm seeing. So I really think they can take advantage of the fact you have a couple of teams that have already let go some coaching staff. We see Saleh wound up in Green Bay, right? Um, I mean, they can definitely use the same methodology. Bring someone in as a consultant, someone like Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen, you can say what you want about him as a head coach, but he knows defense. As a DC, I think he has a lot to bring. So you can help save face. You don't have to fire Shula, and we're not talking about anything radical like that. It's too late in the season to do anything like that. But just to get another defensive mind in there, right? Somebody who could bring a wrinkle, maybe a different way of looking at things, a different way of scheming things. Just to bring that in, I think would be huge for the Rams. It'd be a nice subtle move, but I really think at this point, to me, the defensive staff just seems overmatched. Game to game to game, you can see it, and I think this is the perfect timing for it. You got a seven game stretch to really make it happen and get into the playoffs. So I mean, there are a lot of names out there. I really think they should take the consultancy role and bring someone in to help that defensive unit.
Yeah, it's real quick on that about the defense. I mean, we just run way too much cover six, and teams are just like, oh, they're gonna likely be in cover six. We'll run this play that could beat it. Real quick, everyone. Cover six is 3 people deep. 2 people are guarding deep on one side of the field, and you have one person by themselves on the other half of deep part of the field, and everyone else is underneath in some variation of the other. So there's plenty of passing concepts. We won't get into them right at this moment, but there are plenty of passing concepts that could beat that type of coverage. And because I'm pretty sure we're number 1 in the league in terms of cover six usage, I mean, we're just getting beaten that way too damn often. And I think if they could just mix it up, more cover 2, more cover 3, different variations of cover 4 and Tampa 2 and robber, and we do those things, but not enough. If we do more of it, I think it'll help that cause. But Mark, what are your overall thoughts about Paul's great building blocks yet again?
Yeah, I don't have any issues with any of them. The as far as Chris Shula and bringing in some help, that could be, a really touchy thing to do with the staff. And I don't obviously don't have inside information on how that locker room is, how that what the vibe is, how the players are responding on a day-to-day basis to Shula. Maybe Shula's keeping it simple because we have a lot of young guys back there. I can only guess, but if they did it in the right way, bring in someone and it's very clear to someone to help consult and maybe make some slow, progressive changes over the last half of the season so they can evolve into something a little bit better, nothing drastic, I'd be okay with that. If they do make a playoff run, by the time they get to those must-win games in the playoff, maybe they've tweaked it just enough where this defense takes another step.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I mean, luckily we have, or I don't know, maybe it's not so luckily, but I guess you could say big picture wise, we haven't seen the Rams play their best football on all units of this team. And if they do hit their ceiling or get close to it, we know this team could make some big, big noise in the playoff tournament and win a ton of these games that they need to get in that tournament. So that is good news. But oh, baby, gentlemen, we're back on prime time this week. Rams versus Eagles on Sunday Night Football. Man, oh man. Rams are 5-5, as you know, Rams Nation out there. Eagles 8-2, with the Vegas line being Eagles -3. Rams coming off the 28-22 win in New England that they desperately needed to have happen. And then Eagles just beat down the Commanders 26-18 on Thursday Night Football, as I'm sure most of you saw on Prime Video there, where things weren't going well, but that run game and that O-line and that defensive front for their defensive group took over the game late, and they convincingly won a division game in that. But before we get on to other things about this game, we definitely got to highlight the Eagles' best players real quick. And gosh, their roster's pretty dang crazy. This is no doubt about it, probably the most talented team the Rams have faced this season, barring, I know you can say, oh, 49ers on paper, but they're injured a ton. And yada, yada, yada. And I get all that. But first, let's go through the roster before I go to the best players as I'm thinking about it. Apologies. So we have wide receiver A.J. Brown. We have their Pro Bowl offensive line group, it feels like, with all pros everywhere. I mean, Jordan Mailata is back in the lineup. Mekhi Becton, who was a Jets, former bust, he's been playing some pretty solid football for them. Hall of Famer Lane Johnson's there, along with Cam Jurgens, who stepped in nicely for the now retired Hall of Fame center, doing video and media everywhere, it seems like, with Jason Kelsey running around. And then Landon Dickerson, a Pro Bowl, all-pro level guy. And it's just like, gosh dang it. Then you have Pro Bowl level Dallas Goedert. You have Jahan Dotson, a former first-rounder. Devontae Smith is a Pro Bowl level receiver. And then all-world Saquon Barkley. And then a Pro Bowl level quarterback in Jalen Hurts. Ugh, not the greatest for a defensive unit who's has some good moments, but has some bad as well. And then, if we go to the Eagles defensive side of things, you got Bryce Huff, their free agent signing, Jordan Davis, their high draft pick, Jalen Carter, their high draft pick, Milton Williams, who's been doing some solid things for them. You have Sweat, who's a Pro Bowl level player, Jacoby Dean, the former national champion from Georgia, who's been playing much better. Zach Bond, all of a sudden, is an all-pro guy. Darius Slay, the former all-pro Pro Bowler. Quinyon Mitchell, Rookie of the Year candidate. Cooper DeJean, who their GM was so happy we didn't take when we pulled up for Braden Fisk. He's been playing good football. CJ Gardner-Johnson, our old Lions rival who pisses us off, he's playing good. And then Reed Blankenship, also playing fantastic. So I say a lot, go down their roster real quick to say, this is no doubt about it, the most talented team the Rams have faced, and maybe will face the entire season, just truthfully. If you just go player by player on all their starting positions, it's pretty dang crazy, truthfully. But let's get to some of their best players that we all agreed here on the Rams Up network. First, we'll start off with someone I think everyone probably has like a no-brainer for a lot of league-wide awards for this season, and that's Saquon Barkley. I mean, the guy is hurdling dudes backwards. He has elite speed, elite burst, great vision, power, receiving ability. I mean, everything you would want your running back to have if you were building him in a running back lab, it's this freaking guy. And, I hope he doesn't kill us this game. But, great players like this who are offensive player of the year, MVP worthy with just how much he's helped out this Eagles team. I'm very, very, very concerned about him in this matchup coming up. But on to somebody else who a lot of people weren't familiar with this game coming out of college from Toledo, but this guy, Quinyon Mitchell, who's having a fantastic rookie season as well, and is arguably, other than maybe Braden Fisk, him and Jared Verse are, depending on how this game goes on Sunday, are going to be neck and neck for Defensive Player of the Year. And this guy in Vic Fangio's system is locking number one receivers down week by week. It is very, very impressive just how good he's looked on film and how fantastic he's played. And it's almost like the Jalen Ramsey thing back in 2020 where people are like, Jalen's not that good. He's not really making any tackles or stops. Well, when you're blanketing and clouding a dude an entire game and just locking him up, you're not getting the passes thrown to you and you're not really involved in the action. And I think this season thus far, he's been an all-pro level corner and he's been fantastic. It's really shocking that he's been that good as a young corner. And then a surprise to many who are not familiar with this gentleman here, Zach Bond, the former outside linebacking D-end, whatever you want to call him, from his times at Wisconsin, his time with the Saints. Vic Fangio said, this guy could play inside linebacker for my scheme. And dude is playing at an all-pro level. No doubt about it this season. I mean, he's league leader in tackles, solo tackles, has multiple turnovers where he's caused them and been responsible for them, interceptions, forced fumbles, fumble recoveries. Dude is flying all over the football field, and it is shocking how great he looks in this 3-4 scheme playing inside linebacker. But that's just three, And we talked about the other players who are freaking fantastic on this roster. It is absolutely filthy how good this Eagles team is. And gentlemen, what are your quick thoughts on the roster as a whole that we're going to be going up against on Sunday night?
Well, my first concern is our ability to slow down this offense. You AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts, great offensive line, Saquon Barkley, and our defense. We've had some good moments; they're improving, but I could still see this Eagles offense moving the ball pretty well against our defense. We have to hold up in the red zone, and we have to outscore them. We're just going to have to outscore them because they're going to put some points up on us. Again, they have struggled in the first quarter. Haven't talked about that yet. So, maybe keep it low scoring early in the game. Get rolling and find a way to beat them. Outscore them. We're just going to have to outscore them, I think.
Yeah, speaking of that, real quick, I mean, their offensive leaders, Jalen Hurts has got 2,197 yards, 12 touchdowns, 5 picks, but there is some flakiness to his games you'll see every now and then. But overall, he's a Pro Bowl level quarterback. All-world Saquon, 1,000 yards already, averaging almost 6 yards a carry, 8 touchdowns. Absolutely just filthy. And then Jalen on the brotherly shove, push, whatever the hell you want to call it, 11 rushing touchdowns. And I'm sure Saquon could probably have all 11 of those if they would give him the ball more on the goal line or the 1 yard line. Then A.J. Brown, Pro Bowl, All-Pro guy, 618 yards, 3 touchdowns, last 6 games. Devonta Smith, 500, 4 touchdowns. And then their O-line, like we talked about, is just all world, ranked 3rd on PFF. You can argue they're number 1 just based off the film and not all the metrics. Absolutely ridiculous. Paul, what are your quick thoughts on this roster as a whole that we're going to be facing?
Yeah, it's a talented team on both sides of the ball. They're physical. 2 years ago, they established that they wanted to be one of the most physical teams in the league on the line of scrimmage on both sides. So, and they really have. If you think about it, they have a lot of dogs out there. But I'm really excited about this game because this is a great litmus test for what the Rams want to be. If you want to be the best, you have to be able to beat the best. This is a type of game, and you have the advantage of playing it at SoFi. This is a great way to really define who you are as a team. So if you think about it, going up against that power running game, look, Saquon is a beast. That dude is just magic out there, right? And the Rams' game plan has to be built at stopping Saquon. Everything else, and for those of you that watched that Washington game, I mean, you saw that when push came to shove. Excuse the pun, right? That's exactly what happened when they were, when that offense was struggling. They leaned on that ground game and it got rolling. This is a big physical offensive line, but what is the strength of the Rams D? Some could argue the secondary, true, but you could also argue it's a big physical front the Rams have. So this is a great challenge for the Rams. It's going to be exciting to watch that O-line against the Rams D-line, right? To watch Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, Jared Verse mix it up. And one thing about Verse and BY, Verse to me is he's so much better on the left side, and BY is so much better on the right side. This has been something they've been talking about all season. And Ram Nation, one of the reasons they like to bounce them both around is so that teams don't key on them, and also get BY some pass rush reps against right tackles. And it's a smart move. But first and second down, JV's got to be on the left side, man. He just caves in the run game. I just love him against the run game. But that's something that's going to be huge. The play of Omar Speights, who just London Fletcher-esque in what he has brought to this team, his willingness to throw the body around. And you could just see that the Boom's level of play has just shot through the roof, right? So it's going to be an exciting game. I think I'm excited to see if the Rams defense steps up, and to watch guys like Curl and RQ. They got their Q. We got our Q Lake. To see them throw the body around in the run game is going to be exciting as well. But the Rams really have to center it around stopping that run game. And this is where I get a little bit of agita because we got to rely on Bobby Brown to hold it down. So, but that's for me the key of the game right there.
Yeah, and you should, for full disclosure here, Paul and I both have Saquon Barkley on our fantasy football teams, but we have agreed we will
Good
be
choice.
benching him this week.
Uh,
We will be benching him, correct, Paul?
Yeah, that
We'll
is
sit-
correct.
Okay.
Loyalty first, baby. Loyalty first. I'll take
Res-
the L. I'm not worried about it.
respect. And yeah, this is a talented group, man. No doubt about it. But before we move on to other things, I mean, some defensive leader stats real quick. I mean, we talked about Zach Bond, 102 tackles already. I mean, God. Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, we talked about Sweat, 6 sacks, Jalen Carter. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. But quick little summary on them. They've lost to the Falcons. You know, they beat the crap out of the Saints narrowly, lost to the Bucks. You know, and then the teams that they've been winning on, let's just be honest, last 6 opponents, 20-43. The Browns, not very good. Don't have a quarterback situation set. Giants benching their big money quarterback. Bengals don't have a defense. Jaguars are a disaster. Cowboys are hurt and a disaster. And the Commanders win was, you know, gritty for sure. But, you know, Jaden Daniels was hurt. He's been talking about his rib injury and how it's affected his throwing. So that was a compromised team that they beat. But I think a really important thing to show here, gentlemen, when we get to the keys of victory right now, is the head-to-head over time with the Rams and Eagles. It seems like a majority of the teams this season, Rams Nation tuning in here, we have just bad records against, and we just are very, very unlucky, and it's just really annoying. So since 2000, the Rams have only won about 4 times, and that's not great. Now, the last victory was in 2020 during the COVID season where we went to Philly and whipped their ass, right? Higbee had 3 touchdowns. Goff was looking good. Henderson ran really wild on them, and that team was looking nice. And we're like, hey, the Rams are pretty good. And then things kind of fell off offensively after that. And that team went into disarray and fired coaches, and it was a disaster for them that season. But in previous iterations since McVay's been our coach, I mean, we just have not been able to beat them. Last season in SoFi Stadium, couldn't beat them. We think about the other campaigns in 2018 and 17, McVay's tenure, we could not beat them. One was a slugger, one was a shootout. And then we go back down history. I mean, we just have not done well as an LA Rams team, St. Louis team, since my background picture, and I'll show that real quick, which is the 1989 Rams with Jim Everett playing Jim Rome's Eagles, where we beat them in the wild card round. That's the last time an LA Ram team has, you know, convincingly beat the Eagles in a big primetime matchup. That's 1989, that season. And that is pretty wild. So you can go watch the highlights of that game to feel good, Rams Nation. But crazy. Gentlemen, what are your quick thoughts on this, you know, this not so good record since 2000, real quick?
Yeah, it's basically a trend that isn't favorable to the Rams. We have to acknowledge, though, you know, that a big stretch of that was when the Rams just quite honestly sucked. So we have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
You know, the Jeff Fisher years and before that. And I remember that one game in LA. I'm not sure which one it was. Chris Long had a big game against us. I think I seem to remember him making a big play late in the game, and that was pretty painful. But you know, hey, when the trends are favorable, I like to highlight them, and when they're not, I discount them just to make me feel better. But yeah, Eagles. It's true though. They're a team it's just a team we seem to struggle with for some reason.
Yeah. What about you, Paul?
Hey, time to clean the slate. Start fresh. Start our own trend. That's
That's it, huh?
Time
That's
to
really
move
it.
forward, man.
Yeah, I guess so. But man, oh man, we definitely got to break that trend. Hopefully soon, for freaking sake. But now, as we get into the keys of victory, gentlemen, we'll flash some other team stats I think are important to consider when thinking about those keys of victory up here on this panel and then outside with you guys, Rams Nation. So Eagles, total offense, fantastic. Rushing, passing on the lower end, points, fantastic. Eagles defense with Fangio, top 10 and everything, playing really good football. You know, our defense, lower tier on things, but the Cardinals game, we all realized really, you know, veered some of those stats. Rams offense, getting better over time. We still want to see those numbers get better. But not favorable just looking at it with an eye test based on our units. And like we said, Eagles' most talented team, the Rams, are probably going to face all freaking season, which is really insane, truthfully. But let's get into it, gentlemen. Keys to victory. How the heck are the Rams going to win a game that many people think they're going to lose on primetime football, that many people think that the Eagles could kick their ass, which I've heard a lot of analysts say and other media people think that this game won't be close. Some others realize the Rams are a talented team and it shouldn't be that way. But many think that we will not succeed regardless of close score or not. So, Mark, what are your keys to victory, both offensively and defensively, for the Rams to get a victory on this primetime matchup with the world watching?
Well, I think we already talked about it. Defensively, we just have to limit Saquon Barkley, limit his yards per carry, limit them on first down, and that way we can unleash our pass rush, which is pretty darn good right now. We can't let Saquon Barkley average, what was his average? 5.8 yards per carry or something like that. That can happen or will be done. So that would be the thing on offense we need to do. And on defense, I think this offense on when we have the ball, we've been starting to hit stride. Puka's healthy, Cooper's healthy. Our offensive line is solid, especially if Rob comes back. I don't think we need to do any one thing particularly well. We just got to fire on all cylinders, protect Stafford, don't abandon the run, all the things we've talked about. Just play good offensive football, sound football, good play calling. Don't turn the ball over. Finish drives. It's all basic stuff, right? And put a 20 spot or more on the board. That's what it's going to take. We're probably going to have to get to 26, 27 points because this even if we limit Saquon, they're still going to get their points on us, right? They're going to score. So I don't think this is the Eagles are going to blow us out. They may pull off a win, but I think this is going to be a close game. I think people that are predicting a blowout haven't been paying attention, in my opinion.
Yeah, all true, all fair. What about you, Paul? What are your keys to victory offensively and defensively?
This is on paper. This is a nightmare for McVay, isn't it? That offense, yeah, think about that, right? And then the defensive coordinator who started everything to stop the McVay offense. So on paper, this really is a nightmare game for McVay. But like we've been saying, like Parcells said when he turned to his team, he said, "This is why you lift all those weights." This is exactly right. What was the reason of going through everything for 10 games to get to this point? This is these are going to be. We have tough games. 7 tough games in a row. That's how they have to write it on the board. Forget about who we're playing. Let's worry about what we can control as a team, come together as a team. What was really great, and just before this, a couple of days ago, I was watching the video of the Dodgers, and they were talking about they asked them what was the difference, and the difference was this year, Dave Roberts let the team decide what they were going to do on that week off, and the team decided that they were going to kiss their kids, kiss their wives, and basically come together as a team and spend that whole week together. I think that was huge. That was a huge statement. And Max Muncy said that was the difference. And that's really what the Rams need to do. They need to come together and say, listen, those 10 games don't define us. The next 7 will, right? And whoever comes in our way, we're going to go down swinging. That's the bottom line. Go down swinging. They have a lot of weapons. I think the key on offense for the Rams is going to be the efficiency. It's not just in this game. That target for third down efficiency and red zone. Red zone means turning into touchdowns. They have to be somewhere between 50 and 60% for the red zone, turning that into TDs. And then on the third down side of it, they have to be 40% plus, right? They have to be 40% plus. That has to be their target for the rest of the season. And that this team is more than capable of it. And the game is really going to come down to the Rams' rush defense against that ground attack of the Eagles. That's what it's going to come down to. If I'm going to put my eggs in that basket, that's where I'm going to roll and let Jalen Hurts let him do his thing, see what happens. But that, to me, is the recipe for success for the Rams. And play field position, play smart. Don't beat yourself.
Yeah, my key offensively is we have to be able to run the football effectively. I know they have big boys like Jalen Carter and Davis, and we talked about Bond and Jacoby and all that, but if we're going to attack one part of the field, let's go right straight at them, because we talked about Quinion, talked about the white boy DBs that everyone's making shirts about in the back end playing good football. Darius, and all that group in the back end with Fangio scheming things up fantastically. Fantastic. I keep saying that word. My brain's just scrambled. Got to run the football. Got to run the football. Be diverse. Make them have to play the run and respect it, because if it just becomes another drop back game like Stafford saved us, we're screwed. We're definitely screwed. And everything that I saw in this Patriots game, let's deploy that run attack. And even if it's 4 yards, and what is that? That's 12 right there, just like you like to say, Paul. And I think that's going to be
3.5. 3.5, right?
Yeah. And I think that's going to be very, very key. And then, of course, protect Stafford. Hopefully, Havenstein is back. The Havenstein monster, we like to call him here. And hopefully we will end up seeing our true starting five, which we will need to have a victory if possible. But that's going to be the number one key. And stay away from the corners. Let's go some inside screens to the running back, to the tight end, things that we've been talking about in here to really unleash this offense. I think that those things are going to have to happen for this team to move the ball on the top 5 defensive unit right now. And defensively, I mean, it all starts with Saquon Barkley, as you both pointed out. If we can't stop him on the ground, we are screwed everywhere else. That's just it. If we can contain him, where this Rams defense has surprisingly been pretty solid since the bye, or even these last 4 or 5 games against the run, where we've held runners in check, right? We held the Packers defense in check, just off my top of memory, they are a top 5 rushing unit. The Lions week 1, they were a top 5 unit, and we've held them pretty good. And overall, through all these games, our rush defense has been pretty good. So we have to bring our A game. No Saquon Barkley stops, it's over. We have to stop the run, minimalize it as much as possible, contain the explosives. I think that's number one, because if Barkley gets an alley that he's able to burst through, I mean, see you later. We have nobody on our defense that could catch him. Nobody. It's over. So contain those run explosives and make Jalen Hurts have to beat us with his arm throwing the football, because we see Jalen have some moments where you're like, damn, is he an Pro Bowl guy? Like, holy crap. And there's moments you're like, oh, he doesn't have it today, which was the Washington game that he last played in, where he just did not have it. And that was them at home. And like, I'm not foolish and naive that there's going to be over 50% Eagles fans at this game. I realize that. I've been to many of these Eagles Rams here in LA. Eagles have a good fan base, a very tough fan base, and I realize that's going to be a disadvantage to our team. I'm very aware. I'm going to be there at the game. I'm going to have to deal with it. Some of my good buddies have been Eagles fans since we were kids, and I'll be there with them. That'll be annoying for a little while too, but we'll enjoy the game together and hoorah after. But hopefully we get bad Jalen Hurts and he doesn't feel the home field advantage. But my point with all that was he played at home this last week and didn't play very well. So we have to make him beat us with his arm. And I think if we can do that, we have a great chance to win this game defensively. And special teams, real quick for fun. I mean, Cardi, he's got to make his damn kicks that are available, right? We know the 55 and up are tough, but no more 20-something misses. No more extra point misses. I mean, the stuff that's available and ready that we know he can do, he has to hit in this game, because I don't expect us to score touchdowns up and down the field on this unit. I hope so, but I don't expect that to happen against a top 5 unit, in my opinion. And hopefully, another little side note mentally, hopefully Sean McVay's secret love affair with Fangio's scheme and coaching doesn't affect him. Like, he doesn't pull a Super Bowl against Belichick where he just folds in the awe of a coach he admires so much. And I hope that doesn't affect him. And I don't think it will, but you never know with people, and especially coaches who just constantly always revere a coach that they look up to and respect. Feels like McVay has talked about Fangio every year to some degree or another since he's been a coach in this league. So that's another mental aspect I hope that our head coach can overcome and put out a good game plan and win this thing. But boy, those Eagle fans are going to pull up, and that's going to be annoying on Sunday night. And hopefully our team can overcome that. But fortunately, they're used to those circumstances. I don't think it'll bother our offense or bother our defensive players as well. But holy crap, we definitely definitely need to shock the world on Sunday, right, gentlemen? And with that said, we know it's Wednesday. We know there's more injury report stuff that has to come out in the next days. We understand there's all these other things that we just don't know right now. But Rams Nation, we have to give it to you. What are our early score predictions? What the hell do we think is going to happen on this primetime matchup? So, Mark, I'll start with you. Again, I know it's early in the week, but if you had to put a score on this game, what would that be for this primetime matchup against Philadelphia here in LA?
Well, I am not predicting a Michael Hoyt blocked extra point. He's not going to do that 2 weeks in a row. Predicted that last week. I'm just reminding everybody of my little prediction there. I am going to predict, I'm just going to be bold here. I'm predicting the Rams win this game 24-23. And I'm predicting with my heart here. I think the Rams certainly have it in it to win this game. I'm probably going to be in the minority picking them to win, but that's just how I roll. And I think special teams are going to be the difference this time. Aside from Michael Hoyt's blocked extra point, it was an off game for special teams, especially Joshua Carty. I think he makes up for it. And I'm even going to say right here and now that Joshua Carty is going to have the game-winning kick for us. And the Rams win 24-23. So
hey, I hope you're
week,
right. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, next week I'm either going to look like a savant or you're just going to forget. You're going to forget all about this. One of the two.
I hope your score is right. A victory. I don't care if it's a slobber knocker 3-0. I'll take it. Even the nation might be pissed that they spent all that time watching a defensive battle. I don't care, but I hope your score is right, my friend. But Paul, what are your early score predictions for this primetime matchup against the Eagles on Sunday night?
I got to say, I'm impressed. And somehow Mark and I are like in total sync. So I'm also all in on building some drama for Kid Cardi. So I think it's going to be, I think both teams are going to try to run the ball. I think that's going to burn a little bit of clock. So I have it as 24-21. Cardi hits a 53-yarder to win the game. That's what I have. I think Cardi, the kid winds up being clutch. The Rams fight tooth and nail. I think it's going to be 24-21.
I think I'm rubbing off on you.
That'd be, I mean, look, if we get a game winning field goal by Cardi, I mean, all is forgiven for all the dumb stuff we've seen, right? And anytime you can just get a good victory in front of the nation, I mean, that's really important. So I hope you're a scorer.
Just rolling over the Dodger drama, the way they win it, rolling it right into the Rams, baby. That's the way. Like those walk-offs, we need a walk-off from Kid Cardi in this game.
Yeah, God, I hope so. I hope so. Well, as I do every week, I try to be as objective and real as possible. And I just call it as it is. I'm laughing, and I know you guys are laughing. But look, I think 17-27 Rams lose. Why do I say that? For all the things that I'm worried about, the ground game, the elite players at the wideout spot, that, we give up tons of explosives. If we do a lot of cover six, Kellen Moore, who's done a good job with that unit, they haven't hit their ceiling yet, which is scary. Hopefully this isn't the game that happens. But this team has scored over 26 points on majority of teams. Our unit gives up big plays, unfortunately, ground or passing. And I think that might be too much. Could they buckle up and get it down? I think so. But we haven't faced a top 5 offensive line yet since week 1. And that could be big trouble for our young guys who aren't used to the towering, huge human beings, future Hall of Famers on that old line there, and all pro, Pro Bowls, whatever you want to call them. That's worrisome. And then our offense against their defense. Will McVay be able to figure out what Fangio is doing to him? Are we going to get a 2018 Bears where it's just a complete disaster, or are we going to get a competitive matchup where Coach McVay is smart with his game plan, is smart with his opportunistic play calling? Is he diverse with the run game and the passing game? Is he just doing the same 15 concepts, whether it is run or pass, over and over and over again? We have to see. But I am worried about their unit as a whole. They have playmakers everywhere, all pros. We talked about it. It's really, really ridiculous. And if I have to just go off what I've seen from our team, being very inconsistent. What I've seen from their team, not being consistent, but still kicking people's asses. This is how I end up with this 17-27 Rams lose score. But like I said, hope I'm wrong. I hope your scores are correct. I will be at this game representing Rams Nation and cheering on against a tough Philly crowd that's going to be out there. And I hope I'm wrong. But just based on the objective view of just how these teams have looked and played, that's where I got to lean to, gentlemen in Rams Nation. Hope
Yeah,
I'm
it's fair
wrong.
enough. Yeah.
Ugh.
Give you credit for being more realistic probably than Paul and I, but
Well, with fandom, this you got to be a fanatic, but it's I feel like it's my duty, dang it, to just be honest and real about my thoughts and how I feel and what I've seen on tape. So, Rams Nation, if you haven't gotten tickets yet, I know they're not the cheapest for this primetime matchup against a good team, but you can get your butts out there, get in the seats, standing room, wherever, help out our squad with noise, crowd noise, cheering, chants, your physical energy being there. I'm sure it'll do wonders for our team who needs a primetime win, a primetime victory after the embarrassing offensive performance on Monday Night Football. I think that would help for sure. So, that's going to be a tough one, gentlemen. But I'm hopeful. I'll be there. Linking up with the crew, tailgating. Shout out to anybody who watches Jake Ellenbogen's show with Downtown Rams and whatnot. He'll be out there. Me and him will be linking, I'm sure. We might even do something on site for fun and release a video together or something. We'll figure it out. So tune in for that possibly. But outside of that game, gentlemen, I mean, there's some other big Rams news going on in our football universe. Hall of Fame votes are coming in. People are getting moved up the leaderboard to hopefully be immortalized forever in Canton, Ohio. And I'm sure we all know somebody from our Rams history who should be in the freaking Hall of Fame by now, right? And that would be Torry Holt, one of the members of the greatest show on turf, who leads all stats for the decade over other guys who were in the Hall, which is ridiculous. Speaking of Torry Holt here, a member of the Rams famed greatest show on turf and a 7-time Pro Bowl nominee. Torry Holt is now a semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2025. Excuse me there. Well, gentlemen, why the hell is he not in it? Can someone explain to me up here, or Rams Nation in the comments, why is this man not in the Hall of Fame by now? Ridiculous.
yeah, I can't explain it. The only thing that I can think is that, we got all these other guys from The Greatest Show, Orlando Pace, Marshall Faulk, Kurt Warner, Isaac Bruce, and maybe some of the other players, they all get votes, right? And maybe it's just an anti-Ram thing, anti-Greatest Show on Turf. You guys got enough. You got enough guys in here already. And Torry Holt, they just view him as undeserving. That's the only explanation I can find, because based on stats and a Super Bowl win and everything else, yeah, it seems like a Hall of Famer to me.
Yeah. What about
I wonder if it goes down like that. Like, do the 49ers in the Hall of Fame not vote for a Ram and vice versa? I wonder if that goes down at all.
I
I
wouldn't
would
be
hope
shocked,
not, but
truthfully.
yeah.
I mean, look, they kept Terrell Owens out over just because he was a super, he was a comic book fictional character on the football field, and they didn't like the way he carried himself, even though objectively, like, he was an insane beast. So, the Hall and those voters and people, I mean, they'll have biases towards people, and it feels like there's some BS going on with Torry Hall. It's ridiculous. What about you, Paul? I'll let you chime in here.
Yeah, I think the bias effect is more from, like, for example, when you're on a team that has a great wide receiver, you're perceived as like the second best receiver, right behind another receiver. And I think that to me is, I think that's how a lot of people, Ram fans, we don't perceive it as it was Isaac Bruce number one and Torry Holt number two. It was Isaac Bruce was 1A, Torry Holt was 1B. I mean, 13,000 yards, 74 career touchdowns. I mean, that's not a number two receiver, in my opinion. And we see the same thing with the Rams now, right? You got King Cup and you got Puka Yakua, right? It's 1A and 1B again, similar dynamic. So I think that's probably what's short circuiting Torry Holt's ascension. But I mean, it's absolutely warranted that he belongs in a Hall of Fame. And they should start sizing up his gold jacket because really, honestly, he deserves it.
Yeah, it's annoying at this point, truthfully. It's like, what are we doing, Hall of Fame? I mean, there's other guys who are just objectively not better than him, and they get in. And I know Deion Sanders talks about all the time about the Hall of Good and how there's guys that maybe shouldn't be getting in, even though they were good players, but this is a Hall of Fame. Great players should be getting in. And Torry Holt was a great player for the greatest show on turf. All those seasons where the Rams roster as a whole was crap, but he was just leading the league and stuff every year. It's ridiculous at this point, and I hope he gets in. I hope some Hall of Fame people are happy to be tuning in. Just do the right thing, dang it. Do the right thing. And I
And
hope
just
that's
yet
the case, and
another
we'll find out soon.
Yeah, and just I just want to point out just yet another Rams wide receiver that's just a super classy guy, team player, everything you want in a teammate and a person, high character. I know that probably doesn't count when it comes to the Hall of Fame, but it's I certainly value it.
Yeah, it's important. He's all hands, baby, like he likes to say, and respect to that, man. I love me some Torry Holt. I have a jersey in the closet that I might wear on Sunday. I'm thinking about it now because I'm pretty sure Dick Vermeil and others will be honoring that '99 championship on Sunday. 'Cause, he was an Eagles coach and in the Rams, so I think he'll be out there, and I hope we'll hear loud cheers for that group and especially him to get his ass in the Hall of Fame somehow. Golly, it's irritating, isn't it? But gentlemen, crazy. Week 12, not that far away. Only a couple of days away, it feels like, from the game. It's going to be an insane matchup. Prime time for the world to see if the Rams are pretenders or contenders. And the same thing for the Eagles. Are they pretenders and lose to a team that's well built on paper like us? Or are they actually contenders and beat a team who is pretty talented like our unit here? But I'm hoping we win, or we'll have a not so fun Sunday night there at the stadium.
Yeah, just make
But
sure you have
that'll
a
do it.
nice big just make sure you have a nice big dinner well before the game because you might not be up to
Oh
eating.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I'll eat good when I'm there early in the morning tailgating with all Rams Nation and the pink lot. If you know, you know. So pull up there if you're trying to have a good time, Rams Nation, before you walk into SoFi. But that'll do it here, gentlemen. Rams Nation. Again, thanks for tuning in wherever you get your podcasts. If you're here on YouTube, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, put that notification bell on, share this video with any of your Rams fans, any football fans out there. And this is the Roundtable, Rams Up Roundtable, our 60th episode. Woo! Pretty cool. That's gone by pretty fast. And thanks again for tuning in. I'm Ian. That's Paul. That's Mark. We're the Rams Up crew. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you during the post game reaction, hopefully, with the Rams coming up on top for the world to see. Peace.
Ramley, Beast Coast, repping hard on Sunday.
All right, go Rams.